today to be able to introduce our interviewee, Stephanie San German. She has a business called Functional Living, and she works with elderly people. And I'm going to let her tell you her story. So let us welcome Stephanie. Hi, Stephanie. How
Hi,
are you?
Dr. Wanda. How are you?
I'm fine. After a couple of glitches, there's all, even the most skilled people in the world always have some tiny little glitch when they're trying to do something spontaneous and live. So, anyway, I'm so glad that you are here today. And I know that the people who are listening, either now or knowing this is also going to be recorded, want to hear about you and how you got started in your business and in what I understand is your life's work. So, you want to tell us a little bit about that?
Sure. Yeah. Thank you. Thanks for having me today. So, just a bit about my background. So, I'm a functional movement trainer. I have a background in yoga. So, I'm a 500-hour yoga instructor. I'm in the process of becoming a yoga therapist, which is a relatively new field, but it looks at empowering people to progress in their health and their wellness through the applications of the philosophy and practice of yoga. Uh, and then I'm also trained in functional exercise. So I got started in this really because of my own life experience. What was it? Maybe in 2006, I was a researcher and I was working in back areas. I had some illness, but then I ended up in a car accident that left me bedridden and with a neck brace. And I was extremely active before that. I was in my 20s and I would rock climb. I was doing high alpine mountaineering, martial arts. And then from one day to the next, I was no longer able to use my body the way I was used to. I was in bed and was directed not to leave it for at least 10 days straight. It took me about a year to fully recover. So I needed to accept myself, my new abilities or lack thereof of what I was used to. And I used yoga both to help accept that, maintain a new level of awareness of my body, but then also to help rebuild. So that and swimming and just really completely changing my lifestyle. So that got me very interested in mobility and seeing the importance of it on quality of life, my own experience. And then about 4 years ago, I got a phone call from my grand aunt in Florida. So I'm in Colorado now. She was 92 at the time, and she'd been driving up until then. So she's a very independent woman. She doesn't have kids, but I've been very close to her her whole life. And so I got this phone call a day or two later, was in Florida and helped her. That was the beginning of me helping her transition into this next stage of life where she moved into an assisted living facility. She had been living in her home 40 years. And at that point, I decided to leave what I was doing in Colorado and spend time down there with her. And that just took me in this whole new direction. So I had been practicing yoga a long time and had already started a teacher training, but went deeper into my studies and really became more interested in a therapeutic approach. Then I got invited to teach there. The school I was in had a lot of connections in the community, and I found myself working with various different populations and with differing abilities. So Alzheimer's, dementia, Parkinson's, addiction, mental health outpatient facility. And so it just opened up this whole new world. But really my love for seniors came with the time with my grand aunt and with that community as I began to connect with the elders there.
That is fantastic. Now, tell us a little bit about why it's so important to stay mobile as we get older.
Yeah. So if you think about quality of life, right? Like the things that you enjoy doing, right? Oh, did I lose you, Wanda? um, I'm going to keep talking. I don't see Dr.
No,
Wong.
I just wanted to give you center stage.
Oh,
So go on. You're doing great.
okay, great. uh, so so when you think about what you enjoy in life and just how you go through your day, you probably aren't thinking about if you're able-bodied, right? If you can use the majority or all of your body parts, or you have all of your senses, you don't think about getting out of bed or going to the bathroom or brushing your teeth or even eating your meal, right? Like it's just something that you do, but it actually requires a lot of coordination between the brain and the body for you to be able to do those things. So if you have some kind of impairment to your mobility, and especially just as you age, there are some changes that take place that can start to impact how you're able to do those things and how you go through the day. So for example, as you get older, the communication signals in your brain, they start to slow down. And what that can lead to is decreased ability to sense your movement in space and time. So how you're moving, like how far away you are from something, how far I am from the computer, your ability to hold yourself up fully and knowing that you're straight up, right? Your proprioception. Especially if this happens in your feet and your ankles, that can lead to decreased balance, mobility. It can increase your chance of falling. Your response speed and reacting to things and your environment can slow down. So even just think of like catching a ball, or if something were to fall in front of you, being able to evade that, right? So that starts to slow down. Your fat and your connective tissue starts to replace muscle. So to keep the muscle in place requires a more attention to strength building, to physical exercise. There's naturally a weakness and stiffness in joints, a loss of elasticity in your lung tissue. So, just thinking about your breath and what it does for you as you breathe, circulating oxygen around your body. And as we become more sedentary, our muscles start to adapt. So, for example, maybe if I don't have the strength to fully stand up on my own, I'm with the muscles that would normally be used in that process, your body starts compensating and using other muscles that maybe aren't the primary movers for that movement. And it can cause some imbalances. So physical exercise can help with this process. I don't know how. I feel like I'm talking a lot and I don't see anyone, but so I'm going to keep talking.
Okay, I'm still here. Keep going.
Okay.
So why don't you tell us a little bit about what kind of movement exercises you do with folks?
Sure. So for example, and I just wanted to make sure I wasn't talking too much.
No, you're the star today.
So for example, cardiovascular exercise or aerobic exercise can help to decrease some of the degenerative changes that happen in the body. So just getting your heart rate up, it doesn't have to be this like, intense running on the treadmill. I mean, it can even just be breaths, even as you raise your hands just up, depending on your shoulder mobility and everything, but just, starting to coordinate your breath with movement and having this repetitive movement as you elevate your arms. That will require more effort, which will cause you to then use more of that cardiovascular. It will increase your cardiovascular activity. So, I work with seniors. So, sometimes people think of yoga and functional exercise and they think of like CrossFit, so and it's not necessarily the case. One of the most important things that you can do that really impacts mobility as you age is squatting. So, and if you think about other cultures, for example, in Japan, people sleep on the floor, or in places in Asia, people don't have raised toilets, but the toilets are actually closer to the ground or in the floor. So it actually helps with our elimination processes. Yeah. But if you think about being able to just get up out of your chair or get up out of bed or to sit on the toilet, it's a very, very important part of our mobility, and it's a way to really increase our quality of life and independence if we're able to do that. even just getting into a car, you have to turn and sit, right? So even if you did, if you're focusing just on sitting and standing during your day, think about how many times you go through that. And if you could just do maybe, 10 intentional squats, even from your chair, even if it's not fully all the way, as low as you can go, but things like that will just help your muscles get used. And over time, especially repetition over time, you'll notice a difference in your body.
What about the mental and emotional impact of seeing people who have been pretty chair bound be able to move again? One of the things that you said on your website is that you're helping people move gracefully through life, and I just that gracefully just really caught on for me. And do you use music when you're working with them? And what kind of results do you get?
Yeah. So in terms of moving gracefully, or I say aging gracefully, it's really about how your body is now. I would say one of the biggest things is I mentioned acceptance in my own journey. So as the body goes through changes, there's what you start to see is maybe a lack of confidence around ability to accomplish certain tasks that maybe before seemed easier to do. And also just self-esteem as the body begins to change. And that can impact how you interact with others. If you're not feeling so confident in yourself in social situations, even going out to eat. I heard a story the other day about a friend who went out with her uncle, and he had a hard time getting out of his chair. And so he didn't really want to continue on with the activities of the night because he was feeling self-conscious. So the more that you can, and then especially if you start adding on, cognitive decline or different, I work a lot with memory care. So then you start seeing decrease in ability to communicate and self-express, increased isolation. So, exercise can be fun. Yoga can be fun. I mean, I think that's what I really like about it. It's, I work one-on-one mostly. I do classes as well on occasion, but, either way, it's really finding what brings that person joy. I always try to bring that into the session. So whether that's being outside, whether that's a song, I had one client that she did not want to hear the word exercise. That was like a 4-letter word for her. Like, no, but the minute we would sing, and especially songs from childhood. So for her, she liked I Was Working on the Railroad. Everyone has their preference, but we would sing songs from her childhood, or in the holidays, like holiday songs that connect to like that inner joy or good memories. And all of a sudden, it can become a really pleasurable experience. Now you're remembering these joyous times. You're having fun. Sometimes I'll walk and sing with someone. It also helps if they're overdoing it or not on how they're breathing. But the idea is that if it's not enjoyable to you, you're not going to do it on your own. So it's really finding what is it that works for you that can then become a part of your lifestyle. And they can be little things, but little things that then, you can begin to incorporate either in sessions or on your own.
Yeah. And do you go into assisted living facilities or nursing homes, or do they come to you?
So currently it's mobile. And so it's in either assisted living facilities, senior living communities, or in private residences in people's homes. Yeah.
Yeah. And you do mostly one-on-one, or do you do any group sessions?
Mostly one-on-one. I have done group sessions in the past. And those are really fun because then you create community, and you can learn from each other. It's a really great way to explore self-expression that's not verbal, right? So it's like sometimes words evade you, or you don't feel like talking, but then being and sharing this experience that's body-based, it can be a really bonding experience for the people involved. Yeah.
Yeah, it does get people to become aware, bring awareness to their body and to their whole life. I love the way you express yourself, and if I get to the point where I can't get up out of my chair, I'm going to call you. So now this functional living, is this a new business for you?
So for me, this business as it is has been in place for the last year and a half. It's actually a business model that has been around for 22 years. So I actually worked for the previous owners. So they were a personal trainer and an occupational therapist that created this business model. And when I came back to Colorado, I started working for them. And then they decided to retire, and then they turned the business over. So, but then, they didn't want their branding used, but they turned the whole business model over. And so then this functional living was born.
That's great. Well, I'm going to ask Tom to put in the comments your website, if that's okay.
Oh, perfect. Yeah, that'd be great.
Right. Okay. So what would you tell us a few key things about getting more mobile, getting more movement in our life for all those people who are tuning in right now? And what do you do for yourself?
Yeah. So start simple. Start where you are, even if it's starting from the chair. Just thinking about sitting at the computer all day, like notice your posture, and just even there, just notice what feels good to you in terms of movement. What needs to be stretched, just bring awareness and do a body scan. So I'd say that's just something really, the first step is awareness. So if you just sit there, even now for a moment, and notice, is there anywhere that feels tension? Is there anywhere that feels relaxed or neutral? Notice if you don't notice any of that. That's okay too. Even just beginning to be aware of what your body feels like and is telling you as a start. So I would say, starting there. And then even just at your chair, maybe every hour, if you take a minute just to start stretching and, noticing, a lot of us get this forward head and rounded shoulders, even at a young age. I'm starting to see it now more. I see it a lot in seniors, especially once they start using devices. But, even just sitting at the computer, that brings so much weight onto your body. And so it really impacts your posture later. So just notice when you get out of the chair, and you stand again, just notice how you're standing. See if you can just roll those shoulders back, keep your head up, and see if you can go for a walk. Ideally, if you can move at least 30 minutes a day. That might sound like a lot right now. Start with 10, even just going for a walk. Just go for a walk. See if you can just pick up your pace, make it a brisk walk. See if you can bring your arms up, just here, chest level. Notice your breath as you're walking, and see if you can start even just 10 minutes a day. If you walk your dog, just, make it part of your routine somehow, not like this extra thing you have to do. And as I mentioned, the sitting to squatting, squats or chair pose in yoga, like if you can just remember to do that at least, 5 to 10 times a day to start, that would be great. I'm a big advocate of the breath. So I actually invite you to use your breath to guide you. So a lot of the times with traditional like exercise, more functional exercise, you'll move and then your breath is catching up. See if you can actually have your body follow your breath. Notice how you're breathing. And notice when it seems agitated or when it's smooth. There's a lot to that. I could talk to you a half an hour just about the breath, but just start to get aware of how you breathe, So.
What I'd like to do maybe at another time is invite you back and really give you center stage. And maybe you could go through a little bit more suggestions about things that people can do, because, we could be 40 years old and still start that not aging gracefully, okay? And, that's what we want to do, because movement is part of the lifestyle that is so important in functional medicine. And that's one of the reasons that I wanted to have you on. The fact that you're working with some of us who've gotten a little bit older, but to start young, like kids.
Yeah.
Kids play. And if they're not playing and they're, glued to their phone, they're going to have these deteriorations in their body much sooner. So I don't know what's going to happen with our kids, in 30 years. Are they all going to be stooped over? So maybe would you
Yeah.
consider coming back on?
Sure.
And
This has
just
been fun. I
doing,
didn't realize how much I had to say.
yeah, I know you. Me either. I've been doing all these little short videos on our functional medicine for everyone page, and I'm like, okay, what am I going to talk about now? And the minute an idea hits me, I just turn the camera on and speak for a few minutes. But I think we should have you back on, and sometime later this summer, and just have you tell us more, okay? Because
Sure.
it is so important. And, one of the reasons we're doing these interviews is, we want people to be aware. And that's the hardest thing sometimes, is to get our attention. But we want awareness to your body, awareness to what you're thinking, awareness to your emotions, awareness to your interconnection with other people, and movement. And just bringing up the idea of that, dance is a way that we can connect with people. The dances of universal peace. I haven't seen anything about that recently, but how we used to, well, COVID has probably shut that down, but how we used to get together and dance, that was just so powerful. So there's a lot we can do. And I just want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for being willing to be here with me and all these wonderful people. And let me see what we've got. We've got a few comments. Someone said, I broke my foot, so I certainly became aware of how I took my mobility for granted. I think I know who that is.
I think so too.
Okay. All righty. That's good. Someone says, I love doing Tai Chi. Oh, yeah. And as a matter of fact, we're going to have a Tai Chi instructor on in a couple of weeks or so. So, again, movement. And it looks like Tom has put your website down here at functionallivingco.com. That's for Colorado, I guess, right?
Yes.
So if you have any questions for Stephanie, reach out to her. If you have any questions for us here at Healing Unleashed, be sure and reach out to us, because we want to help you in any way that we possibly can. And so you have any other comments you want to make?
I just want to say, find whatever it is that you love to do, whatever will get you moving. And as long, if you make it your own and part of your lifestyle, that's what matters. However that looks for you. So if it's Tai Chi, if it's dance, if it's yoga, whatever that is, just get moving.
I like it. Get moving. There's a song that I've posted. It's called the Keep Going On song. And, it's kind of our mantra around here. So, okay. All right. We'll see you. Take care.
Bye. Thank you.